Did you bring some fish?
That is quite logical, Captain.
Where shall I strike?
Test your might. Test your might.
Get it out! Get it out!
Test your might. Test your might.
Your mother was a murderer! You smell like a leopard! You are not prepared!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a slightly shorter show this week. We're recording late because I was unfortunately ill on the day we were usually recording. So, with that, I will welcome you to show 127 and say hello to the wonderful Robbie Glow.
Hello, Mr. Razerbug.
Hello.
I'm glad you're feeling better because I missed you on Monday night for Mythics.
Oh yeah, did you guys get a lot of stuff done then?
We had to recruit via the Discord community.
Okay.
But we managed to get we got a 7 done, so that was good.
Cool.
So I was quite happy with that. And yeah, and then my Dwarf Mage had hit 120 on Sunday night.
Oh, awesome. So how many is that now that you've got 120?
I've got 3 at max level. I've got a priest, a mage, and a warlock. So I guess I'm king of the clothies because I don't have anything else at max level. Like, I was going to make a point of saying this. If you had told me at Legion when I was maining a balanced druid and had my dwarf mage as a sort of hesitant ult, that I would be maining a disc priest with having a demonology warlock as my ult, and now only just getting my mage done nearly 8-9 months after an expansion. I don't know if I would have believed you. But yeah, it's nice to have the 3 done. I mean, I do want to have a druid at some point, but not until things sort of come to a later stage, because we're getting to another patch soon. So it's gonna the content's just gonna keep coming by the looks of it.
Yeah, I need to make sure I stay on top of the plot line, because although I'm on top of it now, this expansion took me by surprise. Not this expansion, this patch took me by surprise a bit, and I ended up spoilering myself for some of the stuff that was happening.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's easy to do though, especially if you have multiple characters, because they're all at different points in the story.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to try and keep them all at the same point, especially if you don't have a lot of time.
And it's slightly annoying for me because I don't like replaying content I've just recently seen. It really annoys me. So I basically have one character that does the storyline and then the other that just does raids.
Yeah, like if it was like an account bound thing, then it would make life a lot easier. But then I guess you'd miss out on like rep points and stuff like that.
Yeah, and there are people who actually do enjoy playing the same content in a different way, and that's fine. You know, for people like that, that's great. But yeah, for me, I love consuming new story and not so much revisiting old stuff.
Yes, speaking of new story that we haven't experienced yet, we had a good night raiding last week.
We did, yes.
Yeah,
that took us by surprise almost.
Yeah, so we'd had 1 or 2 goes at Rastakahn, who's the 6th boss in the Jazara Law raid, and we'd had a few goes and thought, okay, well, we'll come back to that next week and, expect to spend half the night there. No, no, we didn't. First time, and we got it through.
I believe after going through the tactics again, Raven said, right, oh, that was it. So she got through the tactics of the first 3 phases, and then she's like, oh, well, I'll talk about phase 4 when we get there. Next pull or 2 or 3 pulls away. Let's just have a crack, as she's wont to say. And suddenly we're like, guys, we're in phase 4. We didn't talk about this, right? Just nobody panic. And then, like you say, we got the kill.
Stand out of the shit. Don't stand in the shit. Do the stuff.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, okay, so we got that. And then we went to the
Then we
casino.
sort of panicked because Raven was suddenly like, "Oh,
Shit, I haven't
didn't
read
think that
this.
was going to happen. I haven't read any of the next. I don't know what happens next. I haven't even done it on LFR."
Yeah, and that next fight, fucking hell.
Oh yeah, I mean, I almost don't mind it being difficult because
It's new.
because it's Alliance guys, and I kind of want the Alliance to kick our ass when we turn into Hordes.
Yeah, I know. Like I am, I saw the fight like when we were doing it and thought, oh, okay, maybe this isn't too bad. And then all of a sudden, Mechatorque shrinks you. Oh
Yeah.
boy. Oh, the shit starts then.
Yes, I'm so glad that doesn't happen to healers, or at least doesn't seem to happen to
It
healers.
only seems to happen to healers if your DPS has sort of lost one or two, and then it force picks you because I think it goes from DPS to healer to tank.
Okay.
If you get what I mean.
Yeah.
So unless you have an abundance of DPS, then you're probably not going to get, the shrink thing. But it's almost like I don't know what the intention really was with that mechanic, because there's been a lot of complaints about how, like, especially things like LFR where people are like assholes, don't wait, don't talk, right?
Mm.
And this is like one of those mechanics where you have to at least say to someone, like, you type, it's like, something along the lines of, okay, like when you'll know when it happens, but when you get the thing above your head, please say who you are, and then someone will say what button you've got to push or whatever it is. And it's I don't know like how long it's going to take before someone sort of DBMs it or recalls it, so it's automated in that sense, where it sort of sends you a message saying, right, if you've got the green, that means you've got to press this button or whatever. Because I feel like people are going to want to have the automation or the anonymity of not having to like talk in LFR to actually having to do it. While there's in a raid group like we've got, like, even though we only raid on normal, we still have the voice comms, and we have a like sort of set system before we pull and talk about it. And if anyone doesn't have, like, if someone's even if someone's like they've heard it but they don't quite get it, like, people are happy to talk about it again, right? So I don't know. Like, do you think this was meant to be the encounter that Blizzard didn't mean for LFR?
I don't know. I mean, because I think if I remember rightly, in LFR, you can see what's above your own head. So I think.
Oh yeah, that's right. And but it's the wrong in normal. It's the wrong color. Is that right?
I think in normal you can't see, only other people can see what's above your head. In LFR, you can see what's above your own head. So the LFR.
Oh, so maybe they patched that in then.
Possibly, yeah.
Because I was under the assumption that it showed the wrong color for some reason.
That might be on heroics.
Oh, maybe I've read that then. But yeah, like, do you think it was like it is a well thought out mechanic in terms of like people who are on comms and such, right? Don't get me wrong, I am enjoying that part of it. But I just feel like so many more people play uber casually to the point of LFR that they don't even want to. They'll mute the chat and won't even see it.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm in, if the very, very rare time I'm in LFR or in 5-mans where I don't know the 4 other people, I mute the chat as well. And I think that's why they made it so in LFR you just have to check what's above your own head and push the button that it needs, rather than making you dependent on other people. But I think as a mechanic goes in terms of making new and interesting raid content, I'd take that over a bunch of spinning things that you can't get through in Temple of Snakes any day.
Oh yeah, or trash that's just so much between bosses.
So yeah, I don't mind it. I'm looking forward to our attempts at it again in the future, and who knows, maybe we'll just one shot it like we did the last one.
Oh my god, you have no idea. When we were doing when I was doing mythics last night, because we have some of our raid people also do mythics in Discord as well, and we were saying like, oh, you know what's going to happen like tomorrow or Wednesday or whatever. You know, he said, yeah, we're going to one shot it, and I'm like, I love your optimism, but like,
but we're not.
Even though it was more the fact that like it seemed buggy as well at times.
Oh yeah, that's true. We did have several times when the toy car things that you're supposed to get into didn't actually get lowered onto the ground properly.
Yeah, it just
less than helpful.
Yeah, let's hope that if the game decides to behave itself, we'll get through it. But I don't know. I feel like we will get through it tonight, just maybe not first time.
Yeah, I don't think we should get our hopes up about.
Or make it more of a thing.
Yeah, I don't think we should get our hopes up about like suddenly one-shotting things, because I don't think that's going to happen a lot.
No, I don't even like dread the thought that we have to run all that again without a lock or whatever, like a locked run. Because if we have to go through that council fight again, the way that we got through it with one healer left and one tank and 2 DPS left,
Yeah,
like
no thanks.
No thanks. Yeah, yes. But anything else this week that you've done?
We finished the Waterdeep Dragon Heist campaign, which was awesome. Obviously, not going to go into any details because of spoilers. But once we got past, a member of the party suddenly turning on us and betraying us, we suddenly found it was much easier to do. We ended up catching the person who betrayed us, and I think I went into they got shot. I brought them back to life, and we opened the session with turning them over to the proper authorities, only for another person who randomly turned up. Of course, that was the second character of the person who'd originally rather unfortunately got their first character incarcerated.
Oh dear.
So yes, we got taken to this ancient dwarven place, and it had lots of like hazards to do with old stonework and all this sort of thing. But of course, I've got those slippers of spider climb that the GM now bitterly regrets giving me. So I just immediately walked up the nearest solid wall and across the ceiling and then down to where we wanted to be. It was like, who needs a trip hazard? Who needs a fall hazard? So yeah,
oh dear.
The GM was thoroughly annoyed at herself for giving me those things. So.
Yeah, I bet.
And a rousing chorus of Spider Priest was sung as well at one point.
As you do. So you told me, not in on show, but you told me that you were getting a new work phone.
Yes, I did get a new work phone. In fact, I got so my ever faithful BlackBerry broke. The battery started to get hot and explodey like, and we don't like explodey batteries. That's not good. So I had to get a new phone, and I had an option of a Samsung S10, an iPhone, a Google Pixel, or a Sony XZ3. And obviously I didn't want an iPhone, and I've had Sony's from the Xperia Z1 to the Xperia Z5. So I thought, well, I'll go for the Sony. See, it was one I was considering before I got the Motorola that I use on a personal phone. So why not give it a go and see? And it's not a bad phone. It's got plenty going on under the cover, but I really, really do not like this current style of curved, shiny plastic or glass everywhere. Because you can't put the damn phones down. They slide off of everything, and anything you put on top of them slides off. And if you have two phones, which I do, you can't put them together at all because they slip and slide off of each other. It's like, can we just go back to flat matte metal, please?
Yeah. A screen with a bit of plastic on the back, please.
Yeah, and also they have now got to the point where even the base models are ridiculous in size because you cannot hold the phone and operate it one hand. Now it has a one hand mode, but it doesn't feel that it feels like there's no point in having that if it's going to be too big to operate with one hand. You should just not make it so big.
Yeah, like isn't it sort of like phablet territory as well?
It's not quite getting to that size, but if I had the plus version, which they do, then it would be, yeah.
Yeah,
this
everything has a plus
6.2,
version.
I think.
Everything has a plus version or a max version or a I don't even know, or like what other adjective you could add to a number, and then it's suddenly a bigger phone. Like it might as well just be a different model, right? Like rather than like a Z5 Plus or something, it should just be called something else.
Yeah, I mean, like the Samsung do with the Note.
Yeah, at least they distinguish, even though it's like basically the phone just blown up a little bit, or quite literally in some cases. What with the battery fiasco of the S9 SA.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember which one it was. One of them had a tendency to explode.
Yeah, this is why I was, as soon as I noticed that the battery was running dead very quickly and it was super hot, I was like, okay, I think I need to not have this anymore.
Yeah. But like you said earlier, we have to have a shorter show because of real life constraints and stuff. So there was quite a special sort of discovery, I guess, this week. I don't really know how to describe it because it's the first of its kind, really, isn't it?
It is. So a research team at the Event Horizon Telescope put out a lot of papers and one very special image that you've probably all seen by now because the news media was pretty excited about it. And this is the picture of it's the first ever picture of a black hole.
Yeah, it does almost sound like an oxymoron, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost not a picture of a black hole. It's technically a picture of the super energized plasma around a black hole, and as the name suggests, a hole in the middle. But it's still pretty awesome thing. It's in the middle of the M87 galaxy, and I think if I remember rightly, it's actually a supermassive black hole. It
has a rap career.
Yes, that's exactly what it means.
It's supermassive.
It's got a mass of 6.5 billion times our sun.
I just can't get my head around that number.
No, that's a silly number.
It needs to go up in an order of scale. Like you just need to not say that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I couldn't possibly comprehend the sizes and the sheer scales on and masses on display here. So, now the awesome thing that is a picture, our first ever picture of a black hole, was unfortunately slightly spoiled by internet trolls, because of course it was.
Yeah.
So this is the story of one of the researchers who played a leading role in making the image of the black hole, a Dr. Katie Bauman. She's 29 years old, and I think, if I remember rightly, she's either fresh out of university or she's still in university. So she was one of the youngest people working on this. And there's dozens of pictures of her, like in the lab and in the classrooms doing the figures and all this sort of thing. And one picture is amazing, actually. It's like she's in front of stacks of hard drives that we used for the observations and the experiments, and of course the photo. And there's like 8 big RAID configurations, and each one looks like it's probably got like a 4 or 8 terabyte disk in it. So I wouldn't like to contemplate how much data they were using in this program.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's a young female scientist who's made this discovery seems to have rubbed a few people the wrong way, and this has led to a lot of people on social media making ridiculous claims, like she treated her male colleagues badly, or that she's tried to rip off, to claim credit for someone else's work, and all sorts of things. In addition to the standard awfulness that is certain elements of Twitter that we're not going to repeat. So yes. It seems that the internet can't have nice things because it has to get all sexist and misogynistic, and can't deal with the fact that a young woman was a leading scientist.
It seems to make trolls angry when women are not only successful or achieve their dreams or whatever, or even like just women that have power in like politics. Like it seems to be a case of it seems to threaten a lot of people, and I just can't understand where they're coming from with that. Like, why does it threaten you? Like, what are you worried about?
I mean, you could almost almost understand if it's by other scientists in a related field who are trying to discredit their peers because they want to get to the discovery first or something. But if you work as a bin man in Birmingham, what do you care whether it was a man, woman, young person, older person who made a scientific discovery? Just it's nothing that's ever going to affect you in your world. So the fact that people just randomly pick up on anybody, any like you say, successful woman or anyone who they deem to not be the right people to be successful or powerful or win something, and they just take to making the most foulest comments. And of course,
it's like when
complete anonymity.
the all-female Ghostbusters film was in the news, or however you want to call it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's exactly that kind of backlash. Now, unpopular opinion possibly, but I don't think that was actually particularly a good film.
Oh no,
so
whether
perhaps
it was
not
a
the
good
best
film or
comparison to
not
make.
it was irrelevant in the end because of
yes, exactly.
because of what happened, and it's the only, if you could even call it a positive, is that more people are aware of who this woman is and her role in it. But that's like one of the few things, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's like sort of not exactly famous as infamous.
Yeah, like she's famous for discovering leading role in taking the first photograph of a black hole, but the infamy around her is arseholes on the internet.
Yeah, all people are going to remember is, oh, you were that scientist that everyone called names on Twitter.
Yeah, like what? Like, why should that be remembered more than? I don't know. It
I don't,
drives me up the wall.
It does me as well.
Yeah.
But there you go. So let's move on.
Yes.
Let's move swiftly on. And I'm going to break with our tradition, and I'm going to ask you to delve into this very weird but maybe awesome thing that you've found, because I have to frantically search because I can't find the stamp.
Oh God! Okay, so there have been a lot of uses for AI, or well, I know you hate the phrase AI, but there has been a whole new sport developed through AI, and it's called Speedgate, and it's based on data from hundreds of existing sports that have been fed into an AI. That has now sort of created its own envisioned idea, if you can call it an AI that has an idea, an envisioned one. It's this. So the event has 6 player teams competing on a field with 3 open-ended gates. Once you've kicked the ball through the center gate, which you can't step through, your team can score on one of the end gates, complete with an extra point if you ricochet the ball through the gate. You can't stay still either, as the ball has to move every 3 seconds. So I guess it's taken a lot of things from rugby and basketball and football. And have you seen the on the Engadget website? They've got a sort of a short video of it.
I haven't had a chance to watch the video now,
but it's exactly how you'd imagine an AI would develop a sport. Like, it's
is that a good
like
thing?
it's the whole thing's slightly awkward.
Yeah.
So like the AI developed everything in the game, right? So that includes the rules, the size of the field, the amount of people that are meant to be on the field at one time.
Did it come up with the name? Because
I don't know whether it came up with the name, but I know it came up with the design of the logo and the motto. And the motto is exactly how you'd imagine an AI having to do a ball game motto.
What's the motto?
Face the ball, to be above the ball. So it's a load of gobbledygook.
Yes.
That an AI is going, oh, you want to play a ball game? Here, be about the ball. It's all about the ball, isn't it? Yes, the ball, that ball.
Okay.
So it's I don't know. I kind of love this idea that like an AI could also potentially be the only ones that can enforce the rules because it's the only ones that know what the rules truly are. If that makes sense. Like I can imagine an AI could hide rules that a human might not be able to see at a time. So like if you're playing the game and you have like one referee can miss something, but an AI would see everything, right?
Yeah, but it depends how strictly you'd want things to be enforced, because like obviously a human referee has to make a call based on, like for example a handball in football. It's a handball if the ball touches you at any part of your arm, below the shoulder, I believe, but definitely below the elbow. And there is a concept of ball to hand as opposed to handball if the action wasn't deliberate. Even though technically it was an infraction of the rules, the referee might realise that it was unintentional and just part of the chaotic nature of playing a ball game, and not call you on.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting as well because, like I was saying, it takes aspects of various sports, whatever. But it's like if you imagine what rugby would be like without being able to touch each other, is one of the ways I would describe it.
So it's a non-contact or a semi-contact?
It's you're not allowed to push or hit. So
right.
You'd imagine that implies non-contact.
Yeah, I guess it's like
no intentional tackling or
basketball.
Yeah, but I mean, even in netball, there are chances that you can trip someone up and things like that, like unintentional contact. But it's interesting that you're allowed to both hold the ball and kick the ball. So as in like the AI it's sort of gathered that like it's not like with football you're not allowed to touch it with your hand unless you're the goalkeeper. So it's sort of taken that and said, you know what, I think that's a bit crap. Oh, what? Look, there's this other sport that you're not allowed to move once you hold the ball. What's going on with that? And then sort of gone, we just smush it all together. But
that's the technical term for the process, by the way, folks.
It's smushing it all together. Yes, I like that. The article ends with saying Speedgate probably isn't going to replace conventional sports in the heart of fans, but it is an example of how AI can be useful even in current human-centric fields like sport. It's doubtful that anyone would have easily devised the concept on their own, even if the underlying concepts are relatively simple.
Yeah, I mean, interestingly enough, it doesn't sound like it would be that difficult to play. Like, it sounds like it could be fun. All you got to do is keep track of whether a goal has gone through the middle gate before you can then score with it. But there are more. There's just as complex rules in any other sport.
Yeah, so. like the whole you have to put the ball through the center, but you're not allowed through it. So it adds that like simplicity and adds a step to it. So it's like it's not just a case of go put it through there and then score. It's now of yes, but now there's a what do you call it in programming? Like an if. So it's like if ball goes through gate.
Yeah, and it also brings in an element of team play like you have in rugby, where you need someone else to be on the be there for you to make a play, so that because you can't go through the gate, so you've got to throw it through or kick it through, which means you need a teammate there, to work with you to score. And in the same way in rugby, where it discourages someone being a lone superstar striker, because wherever you score the try is where you then have to convert from. So you defer the try to the person who's in the best possible position to make it. In this way, it's very similar. You get it through the middle gate, but it has to be a teammate who then goes on to score. So yeah, I like it. I'm going to watch the video and see what it looks like to be played. But the fact that universities in America, they play actual Quidditch even though they can't fly.
Yeah, it's sort of like they've taken a fantasy sport and humanized it.
I love the fact that one of the other concepts, because they had to filter out a lot of the concepts that just weren't weren't feasible
Oh yeah, yeah,
or
yeah,
weren't
yeah.
safe.
Yeah, this is the best
And
bit.
one of them came up with these exploding frisbees.
Like if you have it as a conceptual exploding frisbee, as in it's got a timer and it beeps or something, that I can.
Yeah.
When it says exploding, we think figuratively
Boom.
in a sport. Like if you're playing tag, oh that's it, you're whatever, right? But
Yeah.
in sort of AI, it would be like, oh no, exploding. That means this definition. It's like, not quite, not quite that one, but you're getting there.
I mean, there were toys in the 80s where you did that. You put a timer on and filled it with water, put a timer on, threw it around between each other, and then when the timer ran out, suddenly someone got splashed full of water. So
maybe some of these could be adapted, so we might still have exploding frisbees. Oh dear. Yeah.
So, let's close out the show with a bit of a public service announcement, as it were. So, we've speculated a whole bunch on various past episodes about why things are going on to Netflix, why things are coming off of Netflix, what are Disney going to do with X, and will there be another show for Y, and this sort of thing. So we finally got some answers with Disney Disney Plus being unveiled by Disney CEO Bob Iger. They were doing a presentation, an Investor Day presentation, and they gave details of what the Disney Plus app is likely to be. So the main thing is the price. It will be $7 a month, so cheaper than Netflix and Amazon, at least in the UK. I think $7 works out
£5.50
for us. So yeah, so that's not too bad. There's going to be a whole slew of new shows, including a Star Wars series called The Mandalorian. We also know about 3 Marvel TV spin-offs, which are actually going to be linked into the MCU. So unlike the Defenders and Daredevil, etc., these actually are going to be directly affecting the MCU. They will star Tom Hiddlesworth, one of those, Tom Hiddleston, I think, as Loki. We're going to see Vision and Scarlet Witch returning in a show that is dumbly called WandaVision, but it's like what is WandaVision? It sounds like Wonka Vision.
Yeah.
It's also going to interestingly have every episode of The Simpsons, which I found out recently is on the 30th season.
Also
which is
kind of ironic, given in the early seasons how much The Simpsons battered Disney, like including like the whole Itchy and Scratchy being a whole rip-off thing about stories about Walt Disney and what was the other one? There was one about when they were at the carnival. And they were playing something that was obviously a Disney-inspired thing, and the lawyer came up and said, "You must stop that immediately, or else, Disney is going to sue you."
So interestingly, Disney also have 2 other streaming platforms, Hulu and ESPN, and they're actually planning on, although they won't be the same service, so you won't pay your $7 and get access to all 3. They are planning on making the platform that they live on linked. So if you subscribe to one and you decide to add the other, it'll just be like adding a bundle in Sky, for Sky TV.
What I find really interesting though is like what you said Marvel. Is that on Amazon Prime Video? There's a couple of Marvel series that I think are partly Amazon Prime Video Studio created. So I wonder.
Okay, and there's
that's
like Cloak and Dagger and things like
I was
that.
wondering how that's going to go then. If it's a joint venture, like do both get rights to it, or is it just one?
Well, I mean, Piers Beckley. What am I talking about? I'm reading the article as I'm answering, and I'm seeing names in it. The Daredevil, etc. things, they were all Netflix joint presentations, so presumably the same thing for the Amazon one. They just wait till the end of the agreed seasons, and then they
move it to their own one for the new seasons. Yeah, Or as long as they don't take
Yeah.
don't take things away
So-
from the other service, especially if the other service has like putting a lot of development cost. Because this is where the whole streaming thing gets quite difficult and competitive, more so then, because surely, like, I don't think I've heard about a Netflix and Amazon Prime joint venture, right? So there's always been that competitiveness there, and both companies have both separately done co-productions with Disney, and now Disney might have the opportunity to not only make the new ones and therefore, not include the other companies which have already put in the time and the money, but potentially later on down the line being able to revoke the other ones as well, like the early seasons, because that's just how copyright law goes in America a lot of the time. Like, it's on whoever has the most money can sue the other one, right?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that both sides are going to have, lawyers and contract people that will make sure everything comes out as a mutually beneficial thing. Like, all the Marvel stuff that was on Netflix, it got a hell of a lot of people subscribing to Netflix, even though, they've now pulled them all. It's not going to have hurt Amazon to have got people involved in Marvel's TV stuff just because they're going to someone else. I don't think any of this is going to have been like breaking contracts or screwing one or the other over. I think they probably realize these things are mutually beneficial. So the only thing that slightly concerns me is obviously with the drive to produce a slew of new content. That means that the Marvel and Star Wars properties are going to be squeezed until the pips squeak. They are going to make everything they can into something. So yeah, it remains to be seen what sort of quality we see out of Disney. But yeah, we can hope.
Yeah.
So yes, that's coming. But I tell you what is unfortunately not coming. I can't find the stamp.
Oh, we'll have to save it for a longer show then.
Yes. So I guess all that remains for me to do is ask Robbie, how can people follow you if they would like to?
You can find me on Twitter at Robbie_glow.
You can follow the show, tweet at us, what you think about things we've talked about on the show, things you'd like us to talk about on the show, whether or not you're going to take up a new career as a Speedgate player. Or if you've seen my stamp, where the hell has it gone? You can tweet the show at TGC Show. And you can tweet me at RZBG. And that rhymed, and I wasn't aware of the fact. There we go.
Oh dear.
Yes, it's
going to be one of those raid nights.
One of those raid nights. And on that bombshell, I will say goodbye.
Bye.
You've been listening to The Geek Card with your hosts, Razerbug and Robbie Glow. You can find The Geek Card wherever fine podcasts are found and on the web at thegeekcard.podbean.com. The Geek Card is a proud member of the Voice of Geeks network, where you can find other amazing podcasts like Orange Lounge Radio, Starboard Power Coupling, and Girls Gone WoW. Find out more at www.vognetwork.com.